Welcome guys, gals, and pals. My name is Brooke, and this is Brooke Beams Big, where I share my expressions of joy. Today is Sunday, October 1st, and today we are having a Harlivy Halloween as part of the Sapphic Spooktacular. Earlier today, my partner and I went to our local Spirit Halloween, where they were having a cosplay event to fundraise for the Spirit Halloween charity and to drum up business, and one of the cosplayers was a Harley Quinn cosplayer, so I had to go check it out and check out all of the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy merchandise that they have in the store this year. Of course, I took some vlog footage so I could show you all what was up, and I am always intrigued to see what Harley Quinn merchandise Spirit Halloween is going to come out with. Harley has been a very popular Halloween costume since the release of Suicide Squad in 2016. And while I'm not Harley every year or every iteration of Harley, as a Harley Quinn fanatic, I love finding new pieces to pick up. My top Harley Quinn item from Spirit Halloween this year was definitely this Harley Quinn wristlet, which is a small handbag shaped like Harley's mallet. It unzips on the side over here. I will say it's a little flimsy, not in a way that I think it's going to break, but I definitely thought this would be like much more sturdily attached. I actually didn't get this today. I knew it would be coming to our Spirit Halloween since the Spirit Halloween season started, and I've had my eye on it, and thus my partner actually picked it up for me recently, but since we're talking about Harley Quinn and Spirit Halloween, I thought I'd show it off today. I was also really excited to see a full Poison Ivy display at Spirit Halloween this year. I don't remember seeing a lot of Poison Ivy stuff at Spirit Halloween in years past, so it's great that Ivy is also getting that boosted treatment. I don't know if it's because her comic book has been selling so well, or if just in general both Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are gaining popularity, but it was great to see. So that was what I did earlier today, and now tonight it is time to do some comic reading. In this vlog, I am going to be covering DC's Night Terrors event from this past summer, with a specific focus on Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, of course. I am going to be reading Night Terrors First Blood #1, Night Terrors Harley Quinn #1, and #2, and lastly Night Terrors Poison Ivy #1 and #2. So we've got 5 comics to get through tonight, and I will be returning periodically to give you updates. I have now finished Night Terrors First Blood #1. A little more explanation of this. This is the one shot that kicks off the entire event. It comes before the main Night Terrors miniseries as well as all of the tie-ins. I'm glad I read it for that reason, because it explains how all of our heroes and villains fall asleep and fall into this nightmare realm that they are all battling through in Night Terrors. Harley is also in this one. She doesn't play like the biggest role, but she is in here alongside Batman. Ivy is not in here, but like I said, it explains how she comes to be in the events that are going to take place in her comic. I thought this was pretty good, especially as a setup for a wider event. It's definitely spooky and creepy. There are some gasp-worthy moments in here. I will say one of the main players in this, who is John D or Dr. Destiny, I am not familiar with as a character. Apparently he was a significant player in Dark Crisis, which I have not yet read but is on my to be read to get to soon. But I don't think that really detracts from this, and I think the editing comments do a good job of linking small comments to other comic books, so you get a little bit more context for all of the characters' current storylines, which is always helpful when you aren't necessarily interested in reading DC's entire current line. I'm now going to dive into Night Terrors Harley Quinn. So let's discuss Night Terrors Harley Quinn. First, I want to talk about the art. I really loved the art in these issues. I don't know if I've seen art by Hayden Sherman before, but I really liked it. Their spread layouts are so good, and I loved how they drew all of Harley's different costumes in this, especially when you look at issue number 2, the like old comic style that this is in is so cool, and it's so cool that the same artist just did all of it. So I really commend this tie-in miniseries for that. Now, the writing, my thoughts were so roller coastery. These are written by Tani Howard, who is writing the main Harley Quinn ongoing, and I feel like she was like, oh, you want to disrupt my first story arc with a big DC wide event? No thank you. No thanks. Because right off the bat in issue number 1, as Harley is going through the bad dream created by Insomnia, the big bad for this event, she's basically completely unfazed. Like, he throws all these jokers at her and she's like, how original, how creative. And even when she is presented with Ivy and a big bad guy who kills Ivy, she just like, I know that, of course, if you're showing me my nightmares, that's gonna happen. She basically says, I've been crazy for a long time. I've had every nightmare you can possibly think of. She's like, you can't get me. It ain't gonna work. So Howard shrugs it off right away and produces something that fits within Harley's current storyline, which I had very mixed feelings about at first, because I was like, that's not supposed to be the point of this mini-series. And honestly, I am over the multiverse storylines for Harley right now. That was Stephanie Phillips' last storyline, that's Tani Howard's first storyline, that's the other Harley Quinn miniseries that we have going on. It's just a lot, and I am actually someone who enjoys seeing Harley in the multiverse, seeing Harley go against Apocalypse, because even though a lot of people don't like it because it seems like too big of a storyline for her, that's the reason I like it. But it's too much right now. So I didn't really want this to be a multiverse thing, especially because at this point I wasn't really sure if it was connected to the main storyline beyond it just being Harley being worried about that storyline. and not actually advancing that storyline. I thought maybe this was a trick that Insomnia had created to make Harley stressed out. And then at the ending, where she says, being in the Justice League is my nightmare, I was like rolling my eyes. But then issue number 2 kind of turned it around for me. At the beginning, Harley says, I don't understand. I can't do this. We all know I'd lose it completely. Like if she had the responsibility of being on the Justice League. And the like AI voice in this computer room talks to her and it says, but in this world, you did do it. The how has been decided for you. Don't you want to see what it sees? How you could have been a real classic hero. And then Harley says back, instead of a throwaway sidekick outliving her usefulness. And that line was really powerful to me in the context of how people view Harley and her origins and how she has maintained popularity and how some people are tired of that and how they think she shouldn't have progressed. And this is where it starts with the very classic art style and this like new kind of corny origin story for Harley, which I liked with the knowledge that it's supposed to be that way. It's part of the vibe. I also really appreciated that her 2 like lab assistant guys have these name tags that say Bud and Lou. I thought that was a nice touch. And this page is great. The heroic Harley Quinn. I could make this into a Twitter layout for sure if I still cared enough. And I even like this line where she says, I don't even get my own villain. I get, and don't think I don't see the joke here, a head shrinker, because Brainiac is the bad guy. And I feel like that's a good commentary on certain superhero story aspects. But then something I didn't expect about this art style is that Harley can see the thought bubbles. It's like that fourth wall breaking. And she says, what kind of freak has thoughts so good and pure that they can stand to see them? And her being able to see that is like a big internal struggle here, because Harley deals with mental illness and deals with intrusive thought. And I feel like that was really well portrayed here, and I really enjoyed that, especially this panel where you can see all the thoughts overlapping. And then we have classic Ivy show up. I really enjoyed this just for the art. I enjoyed this part where Ivy is saying, you know, they don't let her really do anything at the biology lab because she's a woman, and Harley like loses her mind. She's like so angry. Have you seen that one fan artist that makes like these sapphic images like in this old style, and she's made some of Harley and Ivy before? But I feel like the fact that we got that in an actual comic book, top tier, even though obviously this is a dream and Ivy isn't real. We got the images, we got the art. But I think a big point of this storyline that Harley is talking about is that in this story she's this great amazing superhero, but she's not her. She has this moment where she's talking about how she wanted to experience this, and she says, I wanted crazy stupid idiot me, cast off me, the little sidekick that could me, just in the Justice League or whatever. Because she's saying that they've changed so much of her origin and her life that it doesn't feel like her. And I think that's also a really good look at her character and how she should be written and handled if you're gonna go with a heroic storyline for her. Because Harley, if she becomes a hero, isn't like other heroes. She's done bad things, she's had a bad life, she deals with some serious mental health struggles, and that is a really important part of her story that you can't just gloss over to make her heroic. And I think the idea that that is her fear, that her fear is that if she's going to be heroic she has to erase herself, or that if she continues to be herself she can never be heroic like she wants to be. I think that is the root of the fear that is really important right now to both her overall arc and Night Terrors. I also think it's really cool how we look at Harley's madness in this mini-series. There's a couple of really good quotes. When the multiverse machine is talking to Harley about how she got there, it says, you fought past your nightmares with such ease. It is your gift to dance with madness and come away with joy. Which I think is a really interesting look at Harley as a mad jester and the point of the jester to make people laugh. And then Brainiac in the like classic storyline says to her, In every reality, the more you dance with madness, the more powerful you become. And so it's a very interesting dynamic in this story where Harley is struggling with her thoughts and how she feels like they're keeping her from being a hero, and that ultimately that is what is going to make her heroic, as Lady Quark at the end is talking about Harley's unique power and how it's needed, which I am now really excited to see how this storyline is going to continue progressing in the Harley Quinn ongoing and to see the culmination of that. I haven't had a high opinion of Howard's writing thus far in the ongoing. I think she has some really great ideas, but usually her dialogue and stuff just isn't great. But this felt pretty solid for what she's trying to accomplish, I would say. So while I had a bunch of ups and downs with my opinion, I would say overall I enjoyed this, and it's got me excited for the ongoing. And I do respect a writer who says, I'm not gonna let your big crossover event fuck with my shit. Also, I just wanted to show off real fast all of the variant covers that I have in my collection for Night Terrors Harley Quinn. So this is the A cover, of course, done by the artist who illustrated this miniseries. Then I have the B variant here, which is by Jenny Frison, and then I have the C variant, which is by Tula Latoy, I believe, and is kind of like a nod to Carrie, which is very horror-esque. And then for the number ones, there's a Dustin Nguyen Midnight variant for all of them. So this is Harley's. I love Dustin Nguyen's art, generally speaking. I love his watercolors. This one's not necessarily my favorite, although I do like the bubblegum and all of the diamonds. Then for number 2, I don't actually have the A cover because there was a mix-up at my comic book shop, so I need to order it to complete my collection. But this is the B cover, again by Jenny Frison. I think it's really cool. I like the Queen of Diamonds card element and the skeleton zombie Harley down here. And then we have the C cover, which actually connects to the first issue, which is very interesting because Harley is both Carrie and the girl who is being mean to her. And I think it says senior prom in the background. So yes, very Carrie. I think these are really cool, and I'm really glad that I got them both. Now it's on to Night Terrors Poison Ivy number 1 and number 2, which I am very excited to check out. Everyone says this is the Harlivy WandaVision, and if a pitch like that doesn't appeal to you, I don't know why you're here. I have now finished reading Night Terrors Poison Ivy. So one thing of note is that this miniseries starts a little different than the Harley Quinn one, because with Harley we saw her fall asleep in Night Terrors First Blood number 1, and Ivy was not in that issue. So this issue actually starts with us seeing where Ivy falls asleep. She is at her shack in Slaughter Swamp where she has set up her headquarters, and she wakes up in this like perfect domestic neighborhood, and Harley's there looking like a deranged 50s housewife. And it's very interesting because this fear obviously comes from Ivy's current worries about being close to Gotham and being close to Batman, which is why she is hiding out in Slaughter Swamp so much, and also her worries about her life with Harley, because she wants to be close to Harley and she knows Harley has certain expectations, but again, she's fearful about being in Gotham. She wants to continue her work, and she doesn't want to let her relationship with Harley overshadow that. And I don't think Harley wants that either. I thought it was interesting that in Harley's story, Ivy is also a housewife, and that Harley expresses distaste about certain aspects of that. So this perfect domestic dream house with Harley stems from Ivy's want to have this place where her and Harley can be together and be safe, but obviously she still wants to continue her work and be on that crusade, and she still wants Harley to be who she is. And I think those kind of conflicting wants are portrayed very interestingly here in like Harley's expression, because she's smiling, but her eyes are so big that it looks like a forced one. And then when you actually look at her pie that she has made, there's like eyeballs and fingers in it and stuff, so it's obviously really yucky. And then of course their neighbors are Batcat, and Selena's even pregnant. Ivy is initially like disturbed. Like she, number one, can't believe what Selena has become, and number two, can't believe that Batman is her neighbor and she's supposed to be okay with it. But Harley is like, oh, it's fine, we're safe, it's great here. And so Ivy caves because Harley wants her to. And I think this shows some of her insecurity with her relationship with Harley, that she loves Harley and she wants to be with her, but she's worried about changing things because of what Harley wants, which I think is a really good reflection on their relationship right now. And some people may not like that because it has a negative undertone in the ship, but I also think it's really real. Like people, especially people who are really independent like Ivy is, have these kind of thoughts that they have to work through when it comes to their relationships. I don't know how I feel about Janet being included in Ivy's dream. I get why from a story element, because Janet is Ivy's side character, part of her cast, but I'm also like, everybody should be having their own nightmare, unless Janet's nightmare is just that she's nobody without Ivy. There is a remark in the second issue when the like bad characters are holding Janet hostage. The character, I think he's Penguin, says to her, I don't need to hurt you, you little nothing. I'm just waiting for you to disappear. And I think Janet is drawn to Ivy because of Ivy's power. She fell in love with Ivy basically when Ivy was this inhuman monster. And I think maybe that comes from Janet feeling very small and powerless in the world. So you could see it as a reflection on Janet's character, or you could see it as a little lazy. Maybe I see it as a little of both. I also think it's very interesting that when Janet does manage to locate Ivy, and Janet is really freaked out, and she tries to reach out to Ivy and tell her that she's freaked out and that something's wrong, Ivy's like, oh yeah, I agreed with you in the beginning, but I don't anymore. It's because Janet doesn't have the weaknesses that Ivy has in her own dream. She's not under that pressure to meet Harley's expectations that Ivy is, and so she can clearly see, oh, that's not really Harley. She's not really happy. You're not really helping her. And I will also say that Jessica Fong always makes amazing covers, and she never does the interior art. But I really wish she had, because I really like this portrayal, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the art in this book. Not that it was bad, but I was just kind of about it. Although I will say it uses itself very interestingly, because when things start to get really over the top scary, the art style changes. So it goes from, let me go back to where we could see what Batman and Selena look like, kind of like that, to this very over exaggerated cartoonish look, and it's deranged looking, and it is scary. And I think it's interesting when it changes. Like we have Ivy dressing up with Harley here, and they're kissing and everything looks normal, and then things start to get crazy, and even Ivy starts to turn that way here. But see, Janet still looks normal, and I think it's because Ivy is falling into the play acting of this world. She is joining it, whereas Janet doesn't belong. And I think that's a really interesting use of the art, even if I wasn't the biggest fan of the style. I also gotta say that cover where Ivy's being sprayed by the pesticides, I just thought that was supposed to be a joke. Didn't realize it was real. There's also a little bit of foreshadowing to this in issue 1, where Ivy says she doesn't like these kinds of neighborhoods because people who live in them put pesticides on their yard. And then ultimately Janet does come to Ivy's rescue. Although Ivy has already broken herself out of the dream, I'm still thinking about the moment where Ivy pulls off the fake Batman's mask and reveals her own face. I don't know if it's just because it's kind of late and I'm tired and ready to go to bed that I can't really think of what it means, or if it's just simply Ivy realizing that this world is created out of her own fears, so all of the bad things that she is afraid of are her, or if it's specifically supposed to be because it's Batman and he's like her enemy, and so therefore she is her own enemy in this world. Maybe that kind of vibe. It could also just be a little bit of a shock. I also realized as I was going back over this that Ivy wakes up in a different place than she went to sleep, because I think by the time I'd gotten to the end I'd kind of forgotten that they showed her going to sleep in Slaughter Swamp. So it's really interesting that she was moving while she was sleeping, and we've got a person with a flower coming out of their mouth, which relates to Ivy's new upcoming villain. That imagery was also at the very end of the last Poison Ivy ongoing issue that I read. And then I think Janet had said that she fell asleep at Trader Joe's, but now she's like in a park. So that's going to be a very interesting lead-in. I am surprised that I'm going to say that I think I liked Night Terror's Harley Quinn better than Night Terror's Poison Ivy, which I did not expect based on creative teams and writers. But I do think G. Willow Wilson kind of understood the assignment a little better than Miss Tini Howard, so I will give her props for that. But maybe that is also a sign that, you know, sometimes the tie-in events kind of disrupt what you got going on. And like I said, it's late and I'm tired when I'm reading these, so maybe upon some reflection I will like them more. So that was Night Terror's Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy edition. But before I close out this vlog, I do want to show you guys one more thing in case you are looking to have your own Harlivy Halloween, and that is the current collaboration between DC and Revolution brand makeup. Are y'all ready for this? Are you ready for this? It is Harlivy themed. Look at it. Look at it. I was so excited when I heard about this, because I do actually have a previous DC Revolution product, which is this Harley Quinn eyeshadow palette that came out a couple of years ago, last year. And this one was Suicide Squad 2016 themed, which is not my favorite version of Harley, but still something I was excited to see. And obviously in that movie she is paired with Joker, so in those products she was paired with Joker. I believe they also did a Mad Love run of DC X Revolution, so I was so excited that this time they went with Harley and Ivy. So I went to my local Walmart to check out what our display looked like. It was ransacked. People are savages. Like, half of the makeup was open, but I still managed to get almost everything out of the collection that I wanted. So I'm just gonna show it to you real fast. So obviously we have this little makeup bag. It's got Harley on one side and Ivy on the other. It is so cute. These are the classic versions of the characters. Then I got this Poison Ivy brush set and this Harley Quinn diamond blending sponge. I'll be real with y'all, I am not a big makeup girly, but I do like to put it on occasionally, and I thought maybe these products would prompt me to have a little bit more fun with it. And if not, they're just cool things to have in my collection. So then I have 3 eyeshadow palettes. I have this small one which has Harley and Ivy both on it. They call this one a graphic artist palette. I'm not sure why. Again, not a big makeup person, but I'm going to be doing some research. And then both Harley and Ivy got their own makeup palette. Each one is 9 colors. Harley is a lot of like the pink side, and our Ivy is a little bit more of the earth tones. There is also a big palette that is both Harley and Ivy, 10 colors for each, and I really wanted that one, and I got so excited because I found one in my display. But as I said, people are savages, so when I was looking at it, I realized it had been opened, and at first I thought maybe just somebody took it out of the box so they could look at the colors in person, because I did find the box, but then I noticed that somebody did put their finger in one. And I don't think I can show you from these, but I do know that some of the Harley colors have like little diamonds embossed in them, and some of the Ivy ones have like these little poison bottles, which I think is really cute. And then I got the Poison Ivy lip kit. I did also want the Harley Quinn lip kit, but it wasn't at my Walmart. I am on a quest to hit up some more Walmarts in my area. I've gone to at least one other one, which didn't have the display at all, in order to find it. And if I can't, I think you can order these from Revolution online. So if you can't find them at your local Walmart, check that out. And then lastly, I got the Kohl Liner Duo, which is 2 eyeliner pencils. There were a couple of other products that I chose not to get. There is some face stickers and face gems for both Harley and Ivy. There was some like tube eyeshadows, but I decided not to get them because I got a bunch of eyeshadow palettes and I don't really understand how to use them, the specific kind of eyeshadow that they are. And then there was an Ivy mascara wand that was both for your eyelashes and your eyebrows, but because it was like green and red, I decided that that was not something that I needed. I think having fun with lip color and with like eyeshadow color is more my style than having red eyebrows. But I think this product line is so great as a Harlivy stan, and especially around Halloween time, if you want to be Harley or Ivy for Halloween, it could be a great time to pick up colors that suit the character. This has been a Harlivy Halloween. I really hope you've enjoyed this first installment in the Sapphic Spooktacular. I will be back with another one next week. Until then, thanks for joining me on this journey. Like this video if I made you smile, and if you're up to it, comment something that made you happy today, yesterday, or even just this week. I would love to celebrate it with you. That's the end, friends. Sending you off with love. Goodbye!